All right. So you just went to the border.
Correct. Just got back from El Paso yesterday afternoon.
Wow. All right. So we have to set this up. We have an administration that seems to be uninterested in the border. Best I can tell, I just don't see any activity coming out of the White House or the administration to try to deal with this problem that it keeps getting reported to him that he just doesn't even want to talk about. What did you see?
First of all, you're exactly right. This administration has either been unwilling or unable to deal with the crisis on the border. The president has not been to the border once since he's been president. His border czar, the vice president, made one single trip to the border in June of last year. And outside of that, they've just chosen to completely ignore what's happening on the southwest border. You look at numbers for fiscal year 2021, there was 1.73 million encounters with immigrants along the southwest border. And those are numbers that were reported. We know that there were other individuals who crossed that were able to get away and were not apprehended. We've seen this fiscal year, we are now 6 months into this fiscal year. As soon as the numbers for March are reported, which are expected to be in excess of 200,000 March alone, we're going to have hit 1 million the first half of the year. And so while last year was a terrible year, a record-setting year, we're seeing that this fiscal year is shaping up to be even worse than last year. And the thing that many of us are concerned about is Title 42 and the fact that this administration is going to allow Title 42 to expire on May the 23rd. And so for those of your listeners that may not be familiar with Title 42, it was put in place during the public health emergency, and it is a mechanism that allows Border Patrol agents to very quickly screen immigrants and then return them to their country of origin. In most cases, that screening takes less than an hour, many times roughly around 30 minutes, to screen an immigrant, the immigrant's family, and then return those immigrants to their country of origin. The sector I was in, the El Paso sector that we spent time in when I was on the border this week, said that 65% of all immigrants that they encountered were returned to their country of origin under Title 42, which means 2 out of every 3 that they encountered, they were able to quickly process, quickly return back to their country of origin. Once Title 42 expires, then all of the individuals who actually step foot into the country will be able to be processed or have to be processed under Title 8, which is a much more extensive process. Instead of taking 30 minutes to an hour, it's going to take several days to process those individuals, and those individuals will then be able to make claims of asylum. And if they make a claim of reasonable threat, if they are returned home, in many cases they'll be allowed to remain in the country waiting an immigration hearing. And so what you're going to see is we're going to see, one, that many of the immigrants which we quickly returned were not going to have that capability, and that many of these claims will be granted. And so you will be seeing more and more people who are allowed to remain in the United States until they have a hearing before an immigration judge. The problem with that is those hearings are now 1 to 2 years out after an individual comes across the border. There is a million case backlog in our immigration court, and that backlog has gotten worse with COVID, and the administration has done nothing to address that. And so we're going to see more immigrants come across the border. We're going to see more of a stress upon our Border Patrol officers, even though this administration is looking to surge up officers, moving officers from the northern border to the southern border, moving some interior officers to the southern border. The individuals we talk to believe that we could, in certain parts of the border, that we could lose operational control, that we could have such a flood of immigrants that we are unable to handle that surge.
Wow. Well, it's fascinating, and appreciate you visiting and giving us a report. We got a break right now.